Hello, everyone, and welcome to the July 2021 Iowa Chapter and Cedar Rapids Railfan slideshow. We have Brad Grefe with us here today. He's going to be doing our presentation. Brad, would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone.
So this month, we have a couple of announcements to make. We are looking forward to the resumption of some in-person meetings. We just did a Grand Mound Depot Day a couple weeks ago in Grand Mound, Iowa, along the Union Pacific. The Cedar Rapids Railfans are going to be resuming in-person meetings in August. The Ames area Railfans are going to be resuming in-person meetings in September. And so it's really kind of an exciting time, but we're going to keep the slideshows going even though these groups are starting to meet in person again. We're going to continue to try to keep this format going as long as it's possible. So with that, I turn it over to Brad and his show. He's got some slides from Southeast Iowa on the Canadian Pacific for us today. So go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, sure. Basically, just thought I'd take you on a little trip through my going on 8 years here in Southeast Iowa, living in Ottumwa. Taking you south out of Ottumwa down to basically Mystic, taking you back up north, up toward Rutledge, and then coming back down the hill to Ottumwa. Kind of give you a little reason why I'm not doing this live today. Jeff Carlson gave me a text a few weeks ago and said, "Hey, I got an extra ticket to the Gold Cup game, United States versus Canada, down in Kansas City. Do you want to come?" And I said, "Well, let me check my schedule." I said, "Well, I've got this little slideshow going on, but I think we can pre-record it." So you can probably tune in toward the end of my presentation here if you're watching this live and catch this game. I don't know, what's it on, Jeff? ESPN, FS1, one of those?
I honestly don't know right now. I'll go check that out though, and you'll fact check that.
So yeah, we can do a live fact check here. So yeah, I'm going to be look for us in the back of the goal at the end of my slideshow here. So again, here's your route map. I'm going to take you out of Ottumwa. I actually live straight up the road from the Wildwood Drive Depot, which is the Ottumwa Guild Milwaukee Road Depot here in Ottumwa. I'm going to take you south all the way to Mystic to the water tower, and then take you back north, up just a little north of Rutledge, and take you back down the hill. So we'll start south out of Ottumwa, southbound. So here, if you stand at the edge of my driveway and take a hard look down the road, you can see this sign. It's not quite this sign anymore, but this is one of my first views of Wildwood Drive here in Ottumwa. Back in 2004, Dad and I were taking a trip down to West Burlington and Fort Madison, and we just stopped in Ottumwa on the way back home.
This was 17 years ago now, too.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
It really takes you back a little bit, seeing the IC&E logos and lettering all over everything.
This picture can drive now.
Yes.
And kind of give you a little visual on my format here. I got the date and the time down here in the corner, the train ID if I could figure it out. The city here, the closest roadway, which subdivision it's on, and then the closest milepost for you. So I'm going to try to run through these as quick as I can because there's like 140 of them or something like that. So if you want to stop and pause, and then you can do your Googling and whatever you can find out, all that information there for you. So this is a little more modern. Back in 2018, they were still doing like wheel repairs and stuff on the rip track down here. And this was the local power here. This is pretty, generic power for the day. Today, you'll see anything from, something like this to, wide cab BNSF power power that they steal off a coal train.
So have they completely shut down the car shop operation in Ottumwa now?
I haven't seen much going on here recently, anyway. But back in the day, I used to be a lot more. You used to be a lot more liberal with what you did. You could drive pretty much anywhere, and nobody would, care. Now there's cameras everywhere down here. There's, they've instructed the maintenance guys to tell people to get the hell off the property and whatever. So it's a lot less. There's a lot less freedom down here, as you'll notice throughout kind of the program. There's some things that you just don't do anymore. And I think a lot of people can kind of sympathize with that, with their own experiences on foaming. So, like I said, these are not chronological. These are basically milepost oriented. So I'm just going to take you kind of through all the various different stages of, what I've been here from 2014 through, present day. That depot back there actually does not exist anymore. They tore that down in October of last year. This kind of came in overnight, wiped it out, and it was gone. So that's kind of sad. But being down here, and being friendly with your crews and whatever does kind of have its privileges, because I got to actually come down and ride the Canadian Pacific's holiday train back in 2018 with the family, so that was kind of cool. And being kind of acquainted with the Chamber of Commerce folks, the Main Street groups, they said, hey, this train's coming to town. We need somebody to go take pictures of it. I know you like trains. You have to take off work and go do this. So I was like, okay.
Twist my arm, make me do it.
Yeah, right? So.
The new take on the dual flags, too.
Yes, it is. This is just down the road, back when they actually took care of the grass, floodplain down by Bear Creek. This is in the yard still. This is the coal train. For a few months there, they were throwing SD 40-2s on coal trains for whatever reason, and for whatever reason, I'm kicking myself in the butt for not going and shooting all of them I could. But here was one of the few I got with, a nice raggedy old CP rail, and then that St. Louis and Hudson.
St. Lawrence.
Or St. Lawrence, sorry. Yep. Oop, wrong direction. Here's a pretty common scene down at the south end of the yard. You got a 474 there on the left-hand side with, a bunch of standard cab EMDs. And then back in the day, those, SD70s used to roam all around here like crazy on the coal trains. So don't see quite as many of those as we used to, but still see them every now and then.
Yes, the CP train is on the yard lead, the coal train on the main.
Correct. And then, again, back in the day, they used to not really care too much if you got up on this access road and took some pictures. But right now, there's a camera it's pretty close to right next to me right now in present day. But like I said, they still kind of leave the yard cars around with keys in them. So that's probably why they got the cameras up. Like I said, they used to not really care too much if you crossed the tracks and whatever, as long as you weren't being stupid about it. Here was a B82 powered way back in the back with, like I said, what used to be just normal common power on 474, pair of SD40 ICE/DM&E units. A lot of this has actually been replaced. You can't get this picture anymore because they've extended the yard leads and whatever. You'll kind of see that stuff as I move down the road. Here's what it used to look like. I think you've got a Fruitland coal train there on the right-hand side with or a Fruitland empty there on the right-hand side with a Fruitland load there on the left-hand side. And that switch stand actually is in my yard now. I bought it from the CP.
Very nice.
And here's where they were starting to do some of the work. They did a bunch of grading here. It used to be, as you could kind of see, a bunch of, grassland and whatever. They extended this yard track 1 all the way down across, which you will see here. Yeah. So this goes all the way down across the crossing now, and I think it's about a quarter mile past the crossing now. So it certainly helps switching in the yard and making meats a lot more palatable. You'll kind of notice there that Krandic power set, mother slug set, went down to Mac in Kansas City. And I believe tonight that's on its way back up here in different colors. I think tomorrow, which would be the 7th of July, will be on that 475. So
getting repainted to the new Trevero green and black.
Green, blue, black, whatever it is. Yep.
Yeah.
And moving down to my favorite crossing in town. This is actually just outside of town. This is milepost 305. This is probably where most of my pictures that I've taken in my time down here in Ottumwa are. It's just such an easy curve to get to. There's a lot of different ways you can shoot it. Back in the day, it had a nice station 1 mile sign. It had a nice pole line that had an old milepost on it. Somebody came in and swiped those with a pickup truck. You can see where they dragged it out of the ditch, which kind of pissed me off because it was nice to frame into my photos. But here you got the tech train coming out, going south really early in the morning, right on my way to work. I saw this going down the road, and so I made a quick U-turn and was 15 minutes late to work. Like I said, the afternoon light is just prime on this spot, so it's just really great to get trains leaving out of town. A lot of that pole line's still there, as you'll see coming up. Just try to give you a little variety here. They've done a bunch of riprap and work down there in the ditches to help it be stable because it kind of used to wash out a little bit. There's that station 1 mile sign. I used to just love shooting in my shots, and like I said, somebody stole that. It's gone now. But and you'll note that's one of the unstoppable engines.
Yes, it is.
And there's everything that used to be there, which you can kind of see why it's a kind of a photographer's delight. Just all sorts of different ways you could frame that stuff in there. But like I said, the 305 there on the right's gone, the station 1 mile sign's gone, and all that's left is that awful 305 there. That's, if you're a UP employee that is facing the wrong direction, it should be facing to the field side, not the train side. But is what it is. Moving down the road, drones have certainly made a difference in photographing this area down here. There's a lot of different spots that you can get to in the air that you can't get to by foot. This guy down here between the road and the bridge has no trespassing signs everywhere, so you don't even dare go down there on foot. But this was a ditching train that just stop ditching just short of the bridge, and then it'll spread its wings and continue flying down the right of way after it gets done here. All right, here we are at milepost 308. Really good spot to get your first train after you go to 305. Really easy to get to. It's right off the highway. There's quite a few different angles you can get here, as you'll see. This is a local train with a couple of my buddies on it. They came, you know, a lot of times they used to run really close to right as I was getting off of work. They used to run south and run back north. It used to be nice and regular. So you'll notice a lot of these pictures that I take are either right before work or right after work or over my lunch break.
It's amazing how that works out for you.
Well, it's nice when you get a little flexibility too, but here we are, step back a little bit into the farmer's field. The dude that lives right over here to the, I guess that'd be east, I think. You know, he said, you know, don't worry about parking in his little grass lot there, little access road to the farm field. So that was nice to nice to hear. He's kind of figured out, you know, who I am, that, you know, if I'm sitting around there, that a train's probably about ready to come. So they usually leave me alone. This shot, I'm kind of disappointed that you can't get it anymore, because in the 7 years since this was taken, they've turned this into a Class C road, and the DOT's put barricade, or the county or the DOT, whoever it is, has put barricades up so you can't drive back here anymore, unless you're a farmer that owns the property here to the left or the right. So that kind of sucks, but at least I drove back here when I did. So that's kind of another theme of what I've shown here. Some of the reasons that some of these pictures that I've taken are in this slideshow are because there's elements that you can't get anymore. So it's kind of like, you know, don't take the same shot every single time. Find those little knickknacks and elements that you can frame into your shot, because you never know when they're going to be gone. This one I heard leaving just before dinner, and I had to delay dinner because there was a nice SD40 with an ice on it. So I said, well, honey, you're just going to have to wait a little bit. This is another good shot down here in 312. There's a really good, it's kind of a crooked road to get here, but it's not too terribly far off the highway. So if you get it at 308, you can get down here to 312 and shoot this shot. I only put 2 of these in here because I love this one with the SD60 that was brand new when it came through here on the local.
That is a brand fresh new paint scheme, yep.
Right out of NRE up there in Silvis. Really only put this one in here for a little bit of, you know, something different. Just shows you kind of the variety of things that you can shoot down here, even when the light kind of sucks in general. If you look at your SunCalc app, you can find little places that, you know, that give you those little, you know, glimmers of light, you know, toward the end of the day.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
Do you assume that everybody knows what the SunCalc app is, or do you want to take a 2-second detour into that?
Well, the SunCalc app's a little app that you can download on your phone that'll tell you where the angle of the sun is. It's a really good tool to help you figure out which side of the tracks you need to be on. You know, if a crossing is going to be good or bad for the light. So it's really handy to help you, you know, take better pictures. It's something that I've certainly relied on for the last several years.
Agreed, I've got it. It's free. It's fantastic. and you can predict any given day of the year or whatever year. Name the year, name the day.
It's really good for helping you, before you go out and take pictures. Like, we've got these Iowa Interstate steam trains coming up. It'll help you plan, where you want to go shoot, on these different various runs. And it's just a really good app to, help you take better pictures. This one was down in Blakesburg, generally kind of a throwaway picture, but it was really good, SD60 liter with that SD40 trailer that left really early in the morning. I heard it, honk its horn from my house, and I said, well, let's just go shoot that and see what we can find. Turned out okay. Something different that, you don't normally get. Back here, there's a private road in Blakesburg. That was the north side of Blakesburg where we just were, and here we're on the south side of Blakesburg. Coming out of the switch to the house track. I think that one's been replaced. It might still be there, but they were doing some tie work here at the time. They've been doing a lot of tie work and rail replacement here over the last several years, and I think most of it between here and at least Laredo is all CWR now. There's not much jointed out there anymore. Again, this is a morning shot of a Mac leader that was kind of different for this 474 local or daily freight. And then I knew that Herzog MPM was down there in the siding, so I thought, well, let's go down there and try to shoot that if we can. So, and again, there's a lot of different ways you can shoot this town and this grain elevator complex. This was in the fall, or I don't think that date's right. Pretty sure this was in the fall, unless they left that in for cover crop.
Yeah, if it got snowed on, they didn't get it picked in the fall.
Oh, I see it. I copied the frame before and didn't update the date. Oh well. Anyway, good late afternoon shot here. Kind of an earlier morning shot for the C-Rex. They were taking the siding because they were meeting a train here. So that was kind of a different view, and that's why I chose this particular location at that date. And you can see they're building the new suck-up grain elevator there in the background at the time. This train's actually the B82 northbound, but you're looking at as if it was going southbound. So another good spot for the afternoon if you're looking for a chase. This is one of those contraptions they built over there in Relco. They completely designed it and fabricated it and built it over there. It's got a John Deere track hoe there in the back, or behind the thing. It's got a welder on it. Really cool device. Nice to see, good old American ingenuity going on here. Good high-paying rural Iowa jobs.
Yeah, they did something similar for the UP too. That's been bouncing around off of an SD40 frame.
Yeah. And they also just built a dedicated weed spray train. Max Whipperman's one of the foremen on that job now, so that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Those are definitely not locomotives.
No, they are not locomotives.
Definitely not.
That's a good argument to get into. Here we have the Boy Scout engine that I appropriately framed in with the Scout back because I'm an Eagle Scout and I thought that it'd be fun to get that picture. This one was a Christmas miracle. Just as Kara and I were getting back home from Christmas break over in Omaha, we saw this just cluster of a train getting ready to leave. Something was wrong with the CSX that it couldn't lead, so they ended up having to go out of their hammerhead with that NS. And it was just a just a nasty train. Thundered along at 25 miles an hour. The really neat thing is that ex Milwaukee Road switch engine there is actually number 474 on train 474. Its last trip on Milwaukee rail, so that was kind of cool. And that's the Northern Foster Bridge, by the way.
Yes.
And as you approach the Southern Foster Bridge, which is near Moravia, there's an overhead bridge that's got this really sexy S-curve that gives you all sorts of opportunities to shoot really cool things. And there's your Middle Foster Bridge, which is actually really interesting because it's built in a curve over this little ravine floodplain type area. It's a farm field usually during the spring, summer, and fall, but it floods a lot. There's a little creek right here, basically right below where I'm standing. And actually, this is the first time that a crew was actually, kind of a dick to me when I moved there. They saw me chasing the train, so they opened the door. So yeah, that was nice.
Huh.
Definitely no need for air conditioning in February. But I made up for it a few years later with the CP's executive train coming south. Shot this in a heavy mist. Really wasn't wanting to put my drone up in the air, but I thought, let's give it a shot and see what I can get. The mist barely cleared up right as the train came, so didn't do any damage to my equipment, but pretty cool shot there. That 1401 and that 1900 there were actually overhauled over in Relco also. Well, the 1407 or whatever that is. The other two were actually cycled through Relco later on, a couple years down the road. But it's neat that all four of those engines went through Relco at some point.
Yes.
And here was kind of my unicorn train. I really, really wanted an ICE or DM&E coming over this bridge. So one day right after work, again, I heard this leaving. I said, "Sorry, honey, I gotta go," and made it work. This isn't a farmer's field, so be careful what you're doing. But I never got in trouble for it, and he didn't seem to care because he saw me. So I don't know. Maybe they'll be different today. But a few years back, it seemed a lot more relaxed than they are today. Again, that was the Middle Foster Bridge back here, and now we've got the Southern Foster Bridge here in the foreground with a pair of nice ACUs there. Gives you kind of a nice feel of how flat Iowa is.
Well, and it gives you an idea of what the railroad was really trying to accomplish with these Foster bridges too, with the ascent through this area and trying to conquer the valleys with the high fill and the bridges.
Yep, there's no real good way to get through this area.
Nope, and you're cutting across all the waterways the whole way down there.
Yeah, there's at least 3 creeks that I can see in here. So, yeah. This was kind of an interesting shot here at Moravia. You don't normally see 3 trains in Moravia at the same time, especially on the same railroad. You got the B-82 there on the siding on the foreground. You got a 474 going south there on the main, and then in the way back they had a work train just parked there, a ballast train that they were dumping rock. So they had to do this little ziggy zaggy thing, and I remember that this was just a PTC nightmare trying to get all this stuff juggled in here. Again, things used to be a little more relaxed back in the day. back when you could, walk on property and they didn't really say a whole lot. But here you got the B-82 local picking up some engines in the Avenues County at that point. House track.
It's an ex-Rock Island engine, by the way.
I did not know that.
The old 364.
So right here, you're looking northbound. You're on the Wabash Main, looking north toward Moravia itself. And then obviously to the left there is going toward Kansas City and the old Milwaukee. And we have skipped all the way down to Mystic, in the effort of saving time. That's the only, I think, Milwaukee Road. I think it's the only steam era water tank still existent in the state of Iowa. I might be wrong, Tom. I don't know, but that's what I've been told.
It's certainly possible, especially if you're going to narrow it down to the Milwaukee Road. It's very possible, yes.
It serves as the city's water tank now. Since this picture, I think it's actually been painted, but we hopped off the CP's holiday train there in Mystic. Dad picked me up and we scurried straight down to here and took a shot, and that was it. But it was worth the drive because it just started to snow. Flags were flying pretty good, and I want to say, no, that's not Cody's truck in the background. Never mind. So let's go back north and see the other side of that water tank. Here we are with a 475 going north, the counterpart to the 474 daily freight that goes through from Kansas City to St. Paul. And yeah, that water tank's looking pretty solid there. This is taken actually from a snow pile, so if you're trying to do this in the summer, you can't do it.
Yeah.
I caught wind of this weird power move coming north. Again, right after work, I scurried down as far south as I could go to get it, and it turned out to be pretty interesting. Especially with that CN leader, we don't get those a whole lot down here. But then I think all those UP-8s were going to, where did those go to, Jeff? I don't remember.
I think those went to the CN.
To the CN?
That could have been.
They had a whole bunch of them stored at Mac for a while.
Yeah, I think those are ex-CNW-8s that made their way over to the CN and got recycled back in.
I don't know what that 9300 number, though. The CNWs, I think, were 92.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. But that was in Moravia, or just south of Moravia off the highway bridge. Here we're going back north, and there's that South Foster Bridge from a little more reasonable angle. Those B-82s used to be just really great trains to chase. And it used to have always used to have the same crew on it, so you knew who it was. So they would, like, if they knew you were chasing, they'd call out their mile boards so you could know whether you should turn off or you should keep going to the next spot. They'd dog it, for you to let you to get in position. Now it's just kind of a free for all. You never know who's going to be running those things. So, and like I said, usually it's not great power, and there's no uniformity of when they're running anymore either. So it's kind of a bummer, but here we are up on the Middle Foster Bridge in the farmer's field. I think Dave Kroger was here at the time. We were standing next to the road looking for a broadside. And the farmer that owns the place said, "Hey, if you want to go up there and get a better shot, feel free." So twist my arm.
Nice.
that same train we saw there at Mystic, here at the middle or at the Northern Foster Bridge with a nice little farmstead here. I've never been brave enough to walk in there to get a better shot, but I thought this looked pretty good for still quasi holiday season. Here's another one of those shots that it's kind of weird, kind of funky with the framing and whatever, but with that tree over there on the left and the pole lines still kind of visible on the left, I thought that I might as well try to get those in there as much as I can, especially with the solar power that I was shooting. I thought that 3800 was going to be a cooler train than it was when I heard that they were going to make a meet down there in Blakesburg. But you take what you can get. Again, you get the Fred flashing there for the 474 heading south. Oops. I knew that my buddy Ben Rail, I think Chris Sense might be running the thing too, but I know at least Ben was on this train coming north. So when I found that out, I decided, well, I'll chase that 474 until they meet the 475. So here we are at the State Street overpass there in Blakesburg. Actually, not too bad a shot, especially if it's cloudy out. It's a little bit more difficult when the sun's out, but
yeah, it's
anyway.
A unique way to capture a meet for sure.
And then we have right after those CP Heritage units came out, they threw one on this business train, and something happened to that 1401 that they had to make the 7015 lead. At first, I was kind of disappointed, but after seeing the shots, after I got a couple of them and seeing the 7015 lead the first business train, that was kind of cool, coming north out of Kansas City. There's Ben's train again from a couple slides back, but I had framed myself up for a better, closer, tighter shot of the train, and then I saw those geese flying, so I quick rearranged. There's the old Highway 5, or the old highway to Albia. I don't know if it's old 34 or what it is. It might just be an old county road. It has some really good broadside shots, with deep foliage in the background and some farmland in the front. And the wildflowers really grow in the ditches there, so it's pretty decent opportunity to frame in some garbage for a garbage contest. Going back to the drone on that bridge, offers a really interesting shot there, quasi mid-morning. It's really kind of difficult to shoot here because there's so many trees around. You can't quite get the angle you want to, but you make do, especially when you have an SD60 leading.
No kidding. Looks like there's some SD40s further back in the consist too.
There's a Jeep something, and then I think there's an SD40, and then I want to say that last one's a KCS Ace, but I'm not 100% on that. When I first shot this, I was kind of pissed that it was long hood forward, but looking back now, I'm actually kind of happy because it's something different, and it looks like Chris Warrenberg there, hogging, coming forward at me.
Yeah, they're dumping riprap somewhere down there.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes they run as work trains, and sometimes they run as B-82s, so you just never know. This is kind of a garbage shot, but I put it in here just because it's an angle that I wanted to include, and it's got a cool engine on the front.
So which Which one of the armed forces heritage units is this one?
It's either the Army or the Marines. I don't remember which.
Yeah.
Is it the Army, Jeff? 7020?
I'll look that up here in a second. I'm not sure.
So that's what they call airline crossing. That's where they extended the siding. They actually put this brand new retaining wall up on this this person's yard to get the track space in there. They put this nice new turnaround for the PTI crew vans so that they don't fall in the ditch. But you know, they're crew vans, so they'll probably fall in a ditch anyway. But
CP 7020 wears NATO green, which the Canadian and U.S. Armies apply to fighting vehicles and equipment serving in temperate climates.
Army, okay.
Good to know.
So there you have it.
NATO green.
So let's take it north then. All right, so here we are back in the CP yard. Back in the day when they didn't really care when you were back there. You used to get some really good zoom shots with, you know, the debris that the rip track had and jointed rails and whatever, but they really don't like you back there anymore, so I wouldn't recommend trying this shot today.
Looks like the Sanders got left on the switch engine a couple of times.
Just a few. Again, this used to be pretty typical of what you used to see. SDs leading the 475, 474, and then, you know, Jeeps leading the B82s. Sadly, a shot you can't get today is that depot's gone. I've been assured, though, that that sign there in the depot has been reappropriated to a nice house. No, it is not mine, which upsets me, but that's okay. It's that same train, but, you know, I saw the DM&E logo on the backhoe, so, yeah, I think that was a backhoe, so I thought that was kind of a fun shot. One of the more difficult views to get was on the, you know, south side of the south side of the tracks there in the north, quote unquote, north end of the yard. This was back when those SD90s were getting just thrown back into service and rapidly vanished right after this. I think some of these are actually, well, a lot of these actually went to the CP and got rebuilt into those ACUs, so that's kind of interesting foreshadowing.
Yeah. Is this a oil train that's coming back? Is that what we got here?
Ethanol train or an oil train. I think 575s were oils, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds right.
Here we are back in Questline with the old Milwaukee stuff right here on the right-hand side. Really shitty backlit picture, but it was something interesting that, again, I don't try to do today just because, you know, you get run out of there. Again, like I said, I knew local crew that was working, so I walked back in here a little bit into the weeds. Had to pick off several ticks after I got this shot, but you know, with a good decent zoom, went back in there to get this interesting, you know, super industrial shot. Oops. Again, something different here. Just trying to get all the pole lines. You can kind of see the flanger sign here. Not really great showing up in this picture, but you know, normal stuff that eventually goes away. So,
just like those DM&E standard cabs.
Yep. And you never knew what you'd see coming up here. They called that a tech train. I don't know if it was actually doing any track geometry testing, but the Whizzer passenger equipment came up from Kansas City. and I just found it on my lunch break. I didn't know it was coming. It just showed up, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of neat. And then you had just a, run-of-the-mill, I think 822s or Fruitland coal trains sitting there on the main. This picture you can't really get very well anymore because even though the brush is gone in the foreground, they put a giant fence up, so it kind of makes things more difficult.
Yeah, Brad, on that last one, that thing I think had been down demonstrating or running trains down in Watco in southern Kansas for quite a while, so that may have been where that was coming back from at the time.
Very well could have been.
Yes, it was after Watco picked up the Wisconsin Southern, so they decided to steal their train for a bit.
Aha. This one I only included because it's something different. You had to walk down way in the ditch. Get a little creative with it. I just liked that it had the DMNE on the point and then that DMNE gondola there in the first car out. Kind of good little symmetry there. And like I said, you just shoot what you can, and eventually it turns to history. Who would have thought that SD70s would be getting scrapped, and that you wouldn't see SD40-2s leading these trains, just 7 years later. This one I included because I like seeing Bob say, "What the hell's going on here?"
It is amusing.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's Chris up there in the cab. Or that might be Chris down there on the ground. They might have been getting a relief crew there. It was just fun seeing crew interactions on these things. Also, this switch stand is in my yard as well. I bought both the north end and south end lead switch or main switches, so that was kind of fun. Heading north out of just the other side of that street. Another picture that really kind of seems like a throwaway. It's kind of weird, kind of awkward. But you can't take this picture anymore because all these little scrub trees have grown up and completely enveloped this nice pole line that used to be there. So, like I said, it's kind of one of those things where you don't know what you're shooting until you look back, 6-8 years later, and you're like, oh shit, all that stuff's gone now. This is a little runoff retention pond kind of thing that offers some decent broadsides. It's starting to get really scrubby, and I need to go down there with a sawzall and cut some of those trees down. But back in the day, it offered a pretty good shot. This was back in that little micro era that they were running SD40-2s out of here on those coal trains to the BN. And I don't know why they were doing it. They hadn't done it before, and then they just did it for like 2 months, and then they haven't done it since. So I'm really kicking myself in the ass for not shooting those more. Just kind of another reason why I like this spot is you can get some of these really cool nature photos with the interesting trains and the Searchlight H2 operators there. A little farther down the right of way, really cool bridge approach. You want to be careful down here because there are often some hobos that live down here. So if you're going to go toward the south end of the South Des Moines River Bridge here in Ottumwa, just, keep your wits about you.
Knocking snow off the rails too. It must have just...
It had just snowed that morning, and this is the first train that was going through. Just a little dusting. You can see it wasn't a lot, but kind of cool. That's another one of those coal trains that's heading back to the BN. You know, just kick yourself in the ass for not shooting, you know, chasing that all the way to Creston or something.
Right.
And here we are back with that business train going north. This is what they call Turkey Island. You can see that South Bridge here. This is the original river channel. There's a race that they made up here for the original dam, the hydroelectric dam downtown that you'll see here in a few minutes. You won't see the dam, you'll see the race, but kind of interesting that they made an island. There used to be a dam system back here. This used to actually have some, like a boathouse and a bunch of industrial stuff. This used to be a road all the way through here with a bridge right over here. Just really interesting how humans have shaped nature in this town. Was heading to work and heard this thing leaving, so I took a quick trip to the park and got my big zoom lens out and shot across the river. And that's the same bridge from a different angle, obviously. This is that race that they used to have for the original hydroelectric dam here in town. It's where they diverted the river so that they could get electricity in certain parts of town. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can just barely see where that old highway that you were talking about was in the background at the base of that pier.
They built the gas line pretty close to where that used to be, yeah. And the old Milwaukee Road used to actually have another bridge across here that on the left-hand side that was their downtown line. And they're right about above where, or below where I'm shooting, used to be a secondary Milwaukee Road depot that you can find some pictures of online. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because it's close to the 4th of July, I threw this one in here. And because I wanted to get some human element, here's Scott Marsh with Lady. He came down and shot for a day. So the same place you can shoot, you know, half a dozen different shots. So it's kind of cool. Really junky winter day. This was actually an ice dam that caused quite a bit of damage later on in the week.
Some very industrious beavers would be proud of them right there.
Oh, for sure. This picture's I included just because it's kind of fun for discussion point. Back in the day, I had a lot more time on my hands before I had kids. So I grabbed some railroad spikes and a 4-pound hammer and pounded spikes into the tree so that I could get a better view of this. So
Nice.
I don't know if you can still get this view. I know the spikes are still on the tree, but I have a drone now, so I don't need to do that. And here you are at the what they call Lawler West. That Station 1 mile sign's still there. That pole there to the left is gone. And the actual no trespassing sign that's tagged there beneath it has been replaced with a modern CP one. So that still doesn't, you know, keep the folks on the west end of town from walking across the bridge to, you know, get to the mall from here.
Yep.
And you might notice that foamer. Right after I moved down here, Kroger came down and had a visit. That's the only reason I put that in there, because, you know, you see this pole line here, it's all gone. You know, you never know when it's going to go.
I mean, hell, I'd wager a guess that the 70 Mac is gone at this point, too.
Oh, probably.
That's a repainted BN one at that.
And this was a fun day. one of the city's backhoes didn't look when it was going across the tracks from the city yard and got smacked by this sand train going north. So that made a nice little delay for everybody. You can see this 7215 here stopped just on the plant for the BN.
Yeah, it's 12:30, so look out for Amtrak.
Amtrak had just gone through, so they got lucky this day.
Ah, they were on time.
Well,
Relatively.
relatively, you know.
Yes.
They're supposed to be here at 9, so and again, really shitty day, but with this consist, you got to go out and shoot it.
That is quite the eclectic mix of power that you found, yes.
Yeah. And I've been really doing, since I moved down here, you really try hard to find different spots because there's only so many crossings you can shoot. I made a climb up the hill and climbed into a tree, onto a tree limb to get this shot.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you'd probably get this pretty close to this with a drone, but there's so many tree limbs and wires hanging out that it just makes it difficult. And this was a scene that was all too familiar before the BN went to their mid-train DPUs on their coal trains going out of here. They had cut a hose somewhere or come apart somewhere. So your crew's walking up and down the rail trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with their train. This is a relatively fresh repaint that I thought was a pretty good shot. Again, right after work. I'm just wondering how soon these pole lines here are going to disappear on the left-hand side there. I've heard it's coming very soon, but it hasn't happened yet. Again, you can see the grade there. Right back here is where they start the heavy grade. You can kind of see it there a little bit. There's the heavy grade sign. And now they're getting into the thick of it here at 301, which is Caldwell Street here in Ottumwa. This is where it really starts getting nice and get some nice sound coming up here. And there you can really see the grade, what I'm talking about. You can see here on the left or the right hand side that the house is straight up and down, but the locomotive certainly is not. This house is actually owned by the Main Street Donuts owner here in town. John is actually a former Milwaukee Gandy dancer down here in the Ottumwa area. And this shot's kind of interesting too because these windows don't exist anymore. They put a normal square window in there after he bought the place. So, you know, it's some of those little nuances that you don't really think about when you're taking this photo, you know, in 2014 that in 2021 you're kind of cool about. Moving up to Milwaukee Avenue, which is just the worst name for a road in this town. It should be Milwaukee Road, but you know.
What can you do?
I petitioned to rename the street, but it costs too much, so.
Yeah.
And here we are up on the Rutledge overpass. Again, I don't know how long those pole lines are going to last, but you know, it's the midst of a snowstorm. It was nice that train had sat in the yard for long enough that it collected a bunch of snow, so it looked like it was just hauling a bunch of snow up the hill. Great sound out of this place. And in the springtime or summertime, it gets really thick and really kind of hard to shoot, but I found a little hole here with the local train, which is weird for it to go north out of here with as a local. That was kind of a fun thing too. Like I said, you shoot in the same spot long enough, you get bored, so you try new things. You can see Mr. Oh God, is that Spencer? I think that's Spencer giving me the birds. So.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of look like you're Spider-Man here, hanging off the bottom of the bridge.
I had my camera just hanging down with the little screen flipped out, and yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And here we are at 209, or 299, excuse me. A little private crossing just ahead of the Rutledge Road crossing there. These guys were actually stopped, just kind of hanging out, waiting for permission to go into the siding, I believe. But yeah, a lot of interesting shots up here at North Rutledge too.
I feel like they need a few more class lights or ditch lights or something on the back of that engine.
You know, if some of my buddies would have been running, those class lights would have been on, but you know.
Yeah.
They still have these searchlights here. Who knows how long they're going to be here? They were supposed to be gone in 2018, but here we are in 2021, and they're still going strong. So, a few shots here at the searchlights at Rutledge. That was Rutledge South. Here we are at Rutledge, the mile board, or the board itself. It's right over here. And you'll notice something missing in this next one.
Yep. So they moved the CTC out to incorporate the entire siding now, is that correct?
That is correct.
Because it was a radio control switch for a long time.
That's correct also. So CTC is now up north, and now the sign mysteriously vanished, and I don't know where it is. That's a lie. And here we are under Highway 149. Kind of a garbage shot, but it's something different that you don't really see because, you know, nobody goes down here because you have these to shoot.
Right.
So, again, when you get bored and it's a drizzly, nasty day, you just go find other things to shoot. They're right at the top of Rutledge. Back when they had the radio control, you can see down there. This is where the CTC starts now, or ends, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
And there you can see it lined for the main instead of lined for the siding. Again, this jointed rail's all gone.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that jointed or welded rail train you showed us earlier. Did he start at the south switch at Rutledge and lay north from there?
That one actually laid it in the siding, and then a few months later they came back and picked it all up.
Huh.
No shit. They laid it in the siding. They came, picked it back up, and put it somewhere else. I think in Canada.
Wow. Okay.
Whatever. And I think this might have been the train that actually picked it all up. This is the distance signal for Rutledge. It's also the hot box detector.
Now, is this is the distance signal for the new beginning of CTC? Because this is from 2014.
It hasn't moved.
Okay.
And here we are just a little bit beyond that. Just the sun just popped up. You can see there's still a little shadow on the plow here. It barely got enough light to get this shot. So we'll just turn around from right there. I was shooting from right here for that other shot. Here we are, shooting the other direction.
Yeah, you're in the middle of those two diagonal gravel road crossings.
Yep. And again, you can see for 3 miles right here from this crossing. It's a really, really cool view. A little wider. And there we are back at 297, that grade crossing looking south. The freight's meeting. Back in the day, the freights used to meet, late afternoon instead of early morning or mid-morning up in Letts or somewhere around there.
Right. And they were both short enough that they apparently met it, or one of them was short enough.
They used to be short enough they could meet there almost every time. So, yeah. Again, just something different. Didn't want to take the same shot. I thought that DM&E was kind of cool, as I hadn't seen that particular one before, and I wanted to get it in the shot. And I really couldn't tell what the hell that light was going to do, the sun and the clouds. So I just thought, well, it's sunny here. Let's take it.
Yeah.
This is a real late evening as far as, winter shots go. Just about got screwed by the light on this one, but kind of makes it wonder if that's what the modern DM&E ice would have looked like. All right. Anyway, we're back here at 297 on the other side of that crossing. And like I said, there's a lot of different shots you can get up here. Wabash Heritage Unit, I wish would have been, a little bit farther south and different line, but it happens.
Yeah.
There's that crossing again. GPS train coming down. I'm pretty sure that's Russ Lyon sitting up there protecting this train there at the switch.
Yeah, and the high rail truck.
Yep. You can see where they've been dumping.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are coming down Rutledge now. Again, CTC still at the south end. I'm a sucker for the maintenance away vehicles. That's kind of cool with that 1096 being H3 instead of H1.
Yes.
I seem to recall shooting that one quite a bit. That was a resident in Topeka for a good long while. Yeah, it got wrecked pretty badly, as I recall.
You can see a couple different varieties of shot available here for the different times of year. Back to the Rutledge overpass.
Yes.
Again, I knew the crew on this train, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to be coming down. You should go take a night shot of me." So, said, "Okay." This is the intermediate there at Rutledge. So, got him coming and going. Had to wait about 20 minutes or so for him to get clearance to the BN there. And there's that intermediate signal. That's my favorite place in the whole damn town. Pretty obvious why.
Yes.
Chris Warrenberg again. This is one of the few times that the CP actually got priority over the BN, over the Diamond. This was right after Amtrak time because it was actually on time. So they made the coal wait and they let the 474 go down. I had to get my feet a little wet for that one.
Looks like it was worth it.
That's the Harrows branch. That's a floodplain, basically. Same train, just sitting there, coming down. This stuff over here on the right-hand side behind the crossing is gone. Kind of a series here. You'll see this power switch here is an actual derail that used to be the connection to the old Rock Island. That got taken out after a derailment. You'll see later on. This one I included because the crossing's gone because they were replacing the crossing. But you can see where the switch used to be. And there's your derailment. Thought within 6 months of living here, I thought there were going to be derailments all the time. I haven't seen one since. So there's your power switch, them fixing the diamond day after that derailment. A couple days later, they were taking it out. Don't really get this shot very often, so that's why I included that one. Sand train 674 waiting for the coal train there to clear in the BN, then they'd get let down. Right here on the right hand side or the left hand side is the connector track from the BN to the CP. Every now and then we get a spray train. That was kind of a cool one. Another early morning B-82 coming down. Another one of those surprise things that I heard something hit the detector when I was at home in the morning doing stuff on the weekend, and got my ass out of bed and ran down and shot it. Oops. More stuff you can't get anymore.
Mount Rushmore unit.
That's nice razor blades now.
Yeah.
This one I kind of like because it's, nice and icy on New Year's Day with the IT there pushing, going south. Then this is a really rare shot, but every few years they actually drain the river and do some cleaning and do some work on the dam. So this is one of those times. And sometimes when they do that, you find a car in the river. That's that train you saw earlier there in the Foster Bridges, but a little farther upriver. Pretty classic shot there, the South Bridge, the original bridge there of the Milwaukee Road.
Yes. Are the piers still there for the other bridge?
You can see them kind of back here.
Oh,
See them underneath.
Yep, I see it
They're
now.
still there. Yep. And there's another piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are back at Quincy Avenue. Another classic shot. Heading to work. The signals are still there, although they've repainted them. They're glossy, which kind of bugs me, but that's okay. At least they're still there.
Yeah.
That's actually John Ryan and John Gruber. First time I met either of them in person, so kind of cool to see, how friendships can come out of the internet. We still have weekly Zooms and whatever. Although John has since passed. Kind of cool to see, all the people that come through here randomly.
Yeah.
Jeff, you being one of those.
It's wild, isn't it?
It is. And we'll end with my first favorite picture of here in Ottumwa. The pole line's gone, the engines are gone, little shanty on the left is gone. The little battery box there in the foreground is gone. But hey, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brad. Appreciate it greatly. And
Yes, sir.
we will be looking forward to a couple of future slideshows that are going to be Darren Ferreter in August, and then we're going to have a show from the Lou Schmitz collection, some steam relics and some first generation diesels coming up in September. So we have all that to look forward to. So thank you again, Brad. Thank you, Jeff. And we're going to sign off for today.
Thanks for watching, guys.